doors.
Fake doors.
Lambo doors.
Hey, are you tired of real doors cluttering up your house where you open them and you actually go somewhere and you go into another room?
What's up, everybody? Today I'm gonna show you the mod I installed on my 2002 Z06 C5 Corvette. It's the doors. You can get them from different companies. One of them is called Dream Kit or something. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. The one that I got is from a company called Vertical Doors. The kit to install it cost me about $2.5 Canadian. I installed it myself, and essentially it's just a massive hinge that you replace your stock hinges with this hinge that moves up and down, and it has this little shock or whatever you call it. They're gonna close the door up. So today I'm gonna show you how it works, the benefits, the downsides, and some tips for installation, I guess. And I guess this is the review of this mod. So first, how does it work? They call it a Lambo door mod, but unlike supercars, you have the fucking A-pillar to clear. So the way it works is the door opens a bit to the side, and then you have to lift it. And how far away it adjusts, how far away it goes sideways is adjustable. Without the fender, it pretty much can be adjusted to go all the way out, pretty much like stock. I haven't tried it with the fender on, but I imagine it's still pretty far, and you can adjust it so you can still get into the car with the door sideways, like the normal way. I adjusted it to be as close as possible to the actual car, because that's the only way to get the one of the benefits. And so I probably could squeeze in a bit, but maybe not. And let's see this one. This is like the closest you can get it to the car while still clearing the A-pillar. And this is how I run this with this is the closest setting. So that's how they work in a nutshell. So let's talk about the benefits of these doors first. The one, I guess the obvious benefit and fairly subjective benefit is the look of the car. When I was a child, the pop-up headlights and the vertical doors was like the top shelf cool car stuff to have. So to me, I think they look okay. People, I imagine somebody will think they look stupid or over the top. People on the street enjoy seeing them. They make comments, they think it's original. A lot of people who know that I installed them myself are impressed with that. I think maybe they don't realize it's a kit that you install. So that's one of the benefits. To me, because maybe I know all of the downsides, or that I spent so much time installing them, when I look at them right now, they don't really have this kind of wow, that's cool kind of feel. Even though the cars around me kind of slow down and look at them. So in person, they don't look as cool as I thought they would be, but in pictures and video they look pretty cool. So anyway, the look would be dependent on what your preferences are. The other benefit, and there are a few of them, so if you own this car, you know that if you park next to somebody, the curvature of the windshield, I mean the side window, it's really, because of that curvature, it's hard to get into the car. You kind of have to hold the door, squeeze into the car, then for me, I'm pretty tall, so I have to let the door go, put my feet inside, then catch the door, hopefully without dinging the car next to you. So that was really annoying, and that was the motivation for me to install these doors. And this part, I absolutely love it. I can park next to anybody and just lift the door, and very easy to enter and exit the door without this. So for this reason, I like this mod, and this is the reason why I'm running the doors adjusted as close as possible to the car, so that I can still use it. Because if you adjust it so the sideways the door opens really wide, then it will also move more out when it is up. So that's the second benefit, I guess, looks and being able to exit the car easily. Also, when you like park briefly somewhere, like at the gas station, or maybe you're cleaning the car, I find it pretty handy to kind of leave the door open. You don't worry about closing it. So that's, I guess, also a benefit. And I guess one more benefit is that people see it, people come to you and talk about the car, the doors. And if you like socializing with people, if you like attention from people and talking to them, this brings that. So I would say that's a benefit. The one thing I noticed is before I installed these doors, people who like my car would say, nice car. Now when I get a comment about the car, they say nice doors. So the doors take all of the attention now. So those were pretty much the only benefits I can think of this mod. Let's talk about the negatives of this mod, and there are quite a few. So the first negative is the company that sells them, and what various comments on forums say, oh, this mod is reversible and you can always go back. And really they claim it so because you don't have to weld anything and stuff. But I would not call this mod reversible, because you have to grind a lot of the doors. So first of all, you can see you cut off not only the little lip that protects the dust from going inside the fender, you also have to pretty much go to the edge of the actual door. And the reason that you have to go that far is because the door opens differently. The stock door stays behind the fender, but this one, and you can see I'm still hitting stuff. You can see it's still hitting the fender. So, and with this mod, the door goes out of the fender, which is why you have to cut stuff. The other downside is you can see you have a massive gap, bigger than Tesla's. And the reason it is this way is again because the door has to clear the fender. So you move the fender all the way to that end, you move the door as close, well, this one is not that close, but the passenger door is much closer. So this is, you have a small gap here. Now you have a massive gap here, and also the stock door has a little lip that kind of closes this hole, but now you can see the insides. And so that's the massive downside. Also, you can see vertically the door and the fender is no longer aligned. This is again for the clearance issues. So it's very, very hard to, well, I would say impossible. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. That's why I have such gaps. But I really don't see a way to avoid this massive gap. And I did adjust the doors for hours. This one, there's just no way. I don't see a way to adjust it. So yeah, so this is the biggest downside for me. You can also see I currently have this piece removed is because it's the same as this, except over here. And the reason I have it removed is you have to move it to the front by about 1 inch, again for the clearance issue. So there's quite a lot of damage that you're doing to your Corvette. I will have to paint it here and have to reattach the molding. So to claim that this is reversible is a bit pushing it. So, and when I first installed, I actually installed the driver's door about maybe a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I had so much regret of installing this mod that I kind of hesitated converting the passenger door as well, but I did it today. And yeah, I feel this gap is where I really feel like I ruined the stock car, the goodness of it. The other downside, also related to clearance issues, is that you basically opening and closing the door, rubbing those components, the air duct and the side of the car, and over the years it's gonna look like crap. Here the lock, you can see it's dinged up. Part of it was maybe when I installing it, but you can also ding it when the door is in normal operation, and that's because the lock was designed for the door that just goes sideways. And you see I'm hitting the fender here. So the lock was designed for the sideways door, but this door, you can see if you can push it up and down a bit, and because of this, the quality of the door closing really went down. This was my biggest regret, is that when you close the door, sometimes see it's really loud now, and the reason is that when you push the door to close, you might be pushing from the side, you might be kind of leaning on this part, and so it goes down a bit more, so that when you close it, it's not a perfect kind of match. On the passenger door, and so on the driver's door, I spent hours trying to adjust it before I realized, there's just no way to adjust it. On the passenger door, I feel it's a bit better, but still, if you kind of see right now, I hit it because I kind of leaned on this part slightly more, and it doesn't close as well. So that's another huge downside. It sounds really bad when you smash your doors like this, and they're really loud and don't close well, and you have to use quite a bit of force to close them. Depending on how strong you are, or perhaps on how strong your passengers are, opening this door it can be either something that requires some muscle, like the way you normally open this door, like the stock door. You pull here, push here, and you're out. With this door, you open it, you push it out, and then you have to kind of lift it, and I have enough strength to lift it from the handle, but it takes me some strength, so like not everybody will be able to lift it like this. Part of the reason might be that I replaced the speakers, the subwoofers, with something pretty heavy, so that kind of contributed to it. And I imagine for some people, after you open the handle and push the door out a bit, you will have to kind of grab it from here, which is just too many steps to kind of open the door, and it's really annoying. Of course, when it comes to opening the doors, your new passengers that never been in this car will not know that it has vertical doors. They're gonna try to open it, it will slip from their hand, they're gonna say, oh, what the hell's going on? And for each of your passenger, you have to explain, oh yeah, you have to lift it up. And so that's a bit of a hassle to kind of explain all of that. Another, I guess, downside of how it looks is that massive hole. You have to cut this part of the fender as well over here. There's a little piece that I had to cut off to fit the kit. Eventually I'm gonna close it up a bit with something, so it's not just a hole with stuff in the inside, but it does ruin the look a bit. And another thing you have to do, there's a filter, some kind of, I think it's an evap filter over here, but the stock filter is installed over here. You have to kind of move it to the side to make the kit, the hinge fit. I imagine there's a reason. It's installed vertically, and the only other way I found to install it that doesn't interfere with stuff is to install it horizontally. So hopefully it doesn't mess up anything, but this is another port that people say, oh, it's a reversible kit. It's not. So that's another downside of this. I think some people would be curious to know if you can drive with these doors. The instruction manual for these, or the stuff that comes with the doors, has a massive warning label saying you can't drive with them. I would agree that you can't, just because it's really wobbly and you have all of this weight above you on stock hinges, that on stock holes for the hinges that were not really meant to support it. So yeah, I would not drive with them. Also, on the topic of this kit, you might notice I'm running only one screw on the bottom of the hinge on the door. Instead of 4, I have only 3 screws. And this is because there's just no way for me to fit the 4th screw inside, third bolt. Maybe they sent me the wrong kit. Maybe it's because this is the Z06 instead of the standard Corvette. In their instructions, when it comes to cutting the fender, the picture they have a slightly different fender with more stuff in it. So maybe I have the wrong kit or whatever, but there's a lot of pressure from the side when you close the door. So I imagine I will have issues with that single bolt eventually slipping out, and I will have to adjust the door to make it fit. One more downside, or well, I guess not a downside, but something that you have to work with, are those connectors. Essentially all the cable is too short. The stock cable and connectors with the stock cables, the connectors are inside the body of the vehicle, and you can see those are not waterproof connectors. But when you install these Lambo doors, you have the connectors right over here. There's some rain coming on them, so what I've done already with one of them, I kind of soldered extra wires to it, and I lengthened the cable so that the connector can be inside of there. I still have to do this one, and I still have to do the passenger door, but eventually I'm gonna move the connectors inside. And I find it's a lot of work to rewire all of those cables. This sleeve, it comes with the kit, is garbage. It's essentially made of plastic, but when you close the door, it kind of folds in half, and then it slides around, and you see it doesn't close well. So again, something that will need to be fixed. Also, when in the instruction video that I saw online, and I know it's made by a different company, they show that you install the door, you attach the hinge with the door closed, and it's supposed to be, that's it. Like, they show it like it's simple. And I spoke by email with the company who made this, and I said, what's the benefit compared to the other company that sells it, the Dream Kit stuff? And I said, with our kit you don't have to remove the door. you can just install it with the door. And looking at the instruction video of the installation for that other kit, it did look more complicated and you had to have a helper. With this one, yeah, you can attach the hinge with the door closed, but then you still have to open the door and lift it up a bit before you actually tighten up the hinge. Because if you install it with the door closed and you tighten everything up, when you open the door, it will sag below. So essentially you still have to install this kit with the door almost off, I guess. So again, the company is trying to downplay the difficulties installing this and what's involved. As far as difficulty of installation, I'm not an expert on anything. I found this is like the first my first body modification type of work that I've done. At the start, I was a bit in shock of how much I had to grind off from the door and how much damage I was doing. But it was a bit of a transformative experience, I guess, because now I feel like before I used to worry about scratching the car somewhere. Now, after you grind off half a door, what's a scratch? It's nothing. So I feel I increased some skills installing this kit. That would be the benefit. I install it by myself. I feel you don't need a helper. Even with a helper, there's not much for them to do to help you. So installing this by yourself is pretty easy. For the duration, for the driver door, it took me 2.5 days, and a lot of this was because I kept adjusting the door, hoping to fix that gap, hoping to fix the closing issues. I kept trying to cut as little as possible, trying to figure out why is it still hitting the fender, and so that's the reason why it took so long for me to kind of do it. For the second door, it took me about 4 hours because I already went into it knowing that I'm gonna have to cut a big portion of the door, knowing that I will have to move the fender way over there, way to the front, and I'm gonna have a massive gap. And that the way you adjust the hinge is that you first kind of slightly screw it in, and then you open the door and lift it up, and that's when you tighten everything up. So that definitely sped up the process. Yeah, I would say it's 3 days to I spent so far 3 days installing it. I still have to finish rewiring the connectors. I have to finish closing it up over here. I have to finish gluing this stuff. I have to paint stuff. And I also have to pull back the underglow that I installed. I had to rip it apart from the fender. It was glued there. So I still probably have about 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 days of work to install this. Some tips if you get the same kit and you're installing it, some I guess tips or challenges that I had with installing it. When you're moving the filter, the location that you see in the manual, I kind of installed it what I thought looked like in the manual, but then when I went to put in my fender, it was hitting it over here, so I had to take off the fender again and I had to move the filter more up. Also, when you're screwing back that filter, keep in mind that on the other side in your battery compartment, there's a whole bunch of wires on that wall where the manual tells you to screw the filter. Be careful not to hit those wires. I kind of winged it. I used the same screws that the filter was attached originally. I just pushed them in, kind of screwed them into the wall. They didn't look very sharp, so that's why I kind of hope they're not gonna hit any wires, but it's really dangerous. You should try to see where the screw will come out on the other side. The other tip, I would say, if you ever taken off the headlights, drop the headlight down. Like there will be 2 screws over here, the kind of on which the headlight moves up and down. Take this out and move the headlight down. The manual doesn't tell you that you need to do that, but I found it's much easier to work if you drop the headlight down. This piece, the fender, it's made from some kind of plastic, and I watched the video, I'm gonna link it in the description, for how to remove it. And the guy said this plastic, it can crack if you apply too much force, and in this area of the fender it's really hard to get it in and out. And so just have some patience, don't force it too much because the fender might crack. Another tip for installation, and perhaps it's obvious, but the door is fiberglass, so wear good protection. Get a respirator so you don't breathe this stuff in. It creates really fine dust and it will stick in your lungs. What I was using is Dremel, and in my other hand I was holding a vacuum, so all the dust was kind of most of the dust was going inside the vacuum. There's also, when you're removing the fender, there will be a screw over here holding this middle portion, and the way to remove it is you kind of go from inside, you pull the fender a bit, and with the extension you kind of unscrew it, and you can see it's gone now. So your fender kind of moves around a bit now, so that's one of the other downsides. Also, the instruction manual tells you, at least it doesn't show you that you need to remove the wheel. It's way 1000% easier and faster to work on this project if you remove the wheel. There are also two screws that let you adjust. First screw, I guess there's first one, I will try to show a picture. It adjusts how far the door goes, and the other one, it is, again, I'm going to try to show a picture. The other screw controls how far down it goes, I guess, slightly. There's some adjustment for how far down the hinge goes before it hits the edge of the hinge. Be sure to adjust that screw so the hinge doesn't hit the other part of the hinge. At first I did not adjust it, and the results when closing the door were not that great. Like, there was more variance with how much it was moving up and down. And actually, I think on that bolt, you will see there is the bolt itself that you adjust with the Allen wrench, and then on top of it is it's like a washer, or it's a nut on top of it to kind of lock it in place. On this door I did not lock it in place, and you can hear, wow, you can hear the fender hitting, but also I think the hinge is hitting itself as well. So look at the adjustments on the bracket and adjust them before you close the fender, because as you can see now, it's pretty hard to reach them and it's a pain in the ass. Yeah, this is the one with the washer, so I need to adjust that. So it's pretty hard to take off the fender. It's a lot of work to take it off, and so do all of the adjustments before you put on the fender. So overall, would I recommend this mod? I would say if I could go back in time and not spend $2.5 grand on this mod, I would not do it again. The one kind of redeeming quality for it is that I feel I got a bit more skills. I've learned something, how to work on the car. I've learned how to grind down the door. I'm going to learn how to paint it. So I guess that's part of why you do these projects. It's not only the final product that you get, it's also the skills that you develop. Do not pay somebody else to install this. You will definitely regret it. Don't let another person grind down your doors. either don't grind them at all, or don't install this mod, or do everything yourself. Overall, if you can find this mod for a cheap, maybe install it, but I regret the quality of door closing. Everything surrounding the closing of the door, I regret it. I regret the panel gaps and essentially every downside about it. I don't think the benefits are worth it. So I'm going to run with this. That's what I'm gonna have for now. But if I ever get a new Corvette or a different car, I'm never gonna install these doors again. So I think that covers everything. Thanks for watching.
Find your true passion and get to work, and better take action or you end up serving. Yeah, that's a fact. So you better clean up your act. So you better raise up a sack and tell the world they can suck on that. Don't come back, pack your bags. You take a trip and don't relax. You hit the switch and just attack. You find your niche and make some racks. Don't hold back. Everybody wake up. It's time to break up with the life you made up. It's time to trade up. Live the life you want now. A life you don't doubt. I could give a fuck how. Just get your grit out.